Hello, everyone. So this is IB, our IB2 podcast led by Ugnė, Benas, and me, Mikas. So today we will be analyzing Good Will Hunting, and basically it is a drama slash romance by director Gus Van Sant. It features Matt Damon as the main character, Will Hunting, Ben and Casey Affleck as his friends. Also, Robin Williams is played as Will's therapist. The movie is about a genius IQ young adult who works as a construction worker and a janitor in MIT. When a maths professor discovers Will's genius, he tries to encourage him to use all of his potential for something more meaningful in life, besides just sitting in his comfort bubble where he just wants to proceed living as a construction worker and janitor in Boston. And eventually, Will is arrested for assault, and the professor proposes a deal in which he would help Will get out of jail, but also Will must be taught mathematics by the professor, and Will must also go to therapy sessions. Will at first doesn't really want to, but then he has no other choice because the bail I think was like 50,000. Uh, and as he visits the psychologist, Robin Williams, he struggles to open up, but eventually does so. So, I mean, I wouldn't really bother explaining everything in sequence about the movie. I think it's just like a movie that doesn't really have like a specific plot like the other movies that we talked about had. It's more of like it's really just like a coming of age story that features many aspects of life that are important to kind of cover. So, I mean, some things that happen in the movie is Will meets a girl that he lies to about his life because he feels like she's too good for him, which he tells his psychologist. Also, Will is encouraged by the professor to go to job interviews, which he responds in a mockingly manner. Basically, in one of the interviews, he just sends, uh, what's his name? His friend, basically, that's played by Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck just
I think
like,
his name is Chuck.
yeah, Chucky, and he just like talks like all this nonsense. I mean, he just took it as a joke, and eventually Will gets in a fight with his girlfriend. I mean, he gets really aggressive because she realizes that he lies to her, and he really kind of gets aggressive because I mean, he just reveals his insecurities, and because he's afraid of abandonment, and then eventually she leaves. Uh, with her family to California, I believe. And towards the end, his friend Chucky carries out a monologue in which he explains that he supports the idea of Will reaching his potential. Basically, I mean, it's like a famous line, but I won't quote it. He just says something along the lines of that every day when Ben Affleck drives by to pick Will Hunting up from his home, he hopes that he won't see him there and that he will have left somewhere reaching his potential. And I guess that was a turning point when Will Hunting really kind of considered getting a job somewhere more uh, that would kind of more correlate with his IQ. And eventually, at the end of the movie, Will leaves with a car gifted by his friends, while telling the professor that he's leaving for a job, but then eventually revealing the truth to his therapist in a letter stating that he's leaving for his girlfriend. And yeah, basically, then I don't remember if this was the final scene, but basically his friends, Ben Affleck at least, Chucky, he goes to pick Will Hunting up, and he's not there, and he responds in a really happy way. So yeah, that's basically kind of the whole movie.
So basically, what I found about this movie was like the whole story is structured like a fight or flight. Like that Will Hunting is dealing with his fears, and he doesn't know. Well, at the start, he's like always fleeing from trouble, He always tries to have like a way to leave all the situations that he might be like uncomfortable in.
Can you give an example? Because
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Basic, but like I noticed a lot that he just always had a way to flee the situation. For example, when the second time there was an equation in the Harvard where he was working as a janitor and he started writing on it, and then he got caught. He did not like talk to the professor that caught him. He just ran away from him because he did not want to like be known as someone who's smart.
Oh,
The-
I thought, but wasn't it because actually I remember that that's how I interpreted the movie, but then when I read like a recap, basically it said that he ran away that time because he thought that the professor thinks that he's vandalizing.
well, the professor did think that he was vandalizing, but then like
Oh,
later,
afterwards, you mean?
yeah, obviously it
Ah,
makes sense that later that he wasn't vandalizing, but he knew he wasn't vandalizing, so he had nothing to run from. But he did run because he didn't want to be caught and known as like the smart person there. He was just fearful of it. And like there's also many other examples of how he always leaves instead of facing his fears. So ones I noticed was that he first evaded therapy. He did not want to talk about it, which is like he's he's scared of having his fears, which is like inception. But additionally, he also like ran away from job offers that first the professor was offering him, and also he ran away from Skylar when she offered to fly to California with her.
right. Okay, I get what you mean that he kind of he fears leaving his comfort bubble, and also he fears like being vulnerable. I guess that's what were appearing vulnerable. I guess that's what was stopping him from
Yeah.
opening up. And but yeah, also what you mentioned that I think repeats like is shown a lot during the movie is how you said that he doesn't want to be known as like the smart guy is what you said or something.
Well, yeah, I think he doesn't want to be known as him because like he just has a life that he kind of enjoys with his friends, and like that the personality of him being very smart and like intelligent does not fit well into this life
Yeah, okay,
and
that
is
makes
like
sense.
not needed.
But what I wanted to say is that also I mean, it kind of reflects with his relationship with Skylar, I think, the girl, is that yeah, because of the life he lives, he kind of thinks that other people around him are better than him. So, I mean, I think that's what you meant. What I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's
something like that.
yeah, basically that the circumstances that he lives in, even though he's a genius, doesn't really correspond with his girlfriend, for example, or like the environment of the maths professor. And also, he says the same thing to his psychologist about his girlfriend that he feels like she is too good for him because she goes to like a I think she goes to like a really expensive school or something, but everything that he learned, he just learned from books.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay, you can
you go,
say Benas. All good.
no, you go first.
No, it's just a note. I kind of thought that Will was working as a janitor at MIT and not Harvard.
Yeah, MIT.
Okay, yeah, because I got confused.
Yeah, I just didn't remember. Like it's a small detail. I don't think it matters much. But what I liked about the movie was how like in the end, this fight or flight, he changes into the fight mode where he actually faces his fears, and like examples of that is that he actually accepted a job that required the intelligence that he had, that he accepted the therapy from Sean by like in the end in the last session when he meets with them, and I think Sean keeps repeating to him that he's fine and everything is gonna be okay, and then he cries and hugs Sean because he accepts the
Oh,
therapy
right.
and the
That
help
was
he
like the
gave.
revealing of his like true vulnerability about
Yeah,
his
yeah.
life with a abusive parent because it turns out that the psychologist also had an abusive father, I think, and and he kind of related with that. And he said that the line that he kept repeating to Will was, "It's not your fault." And then at
That's it.
first Will keeps repeating that, "Yeah, I know." But then after Robin Williams keeps repeating it, uh Will kind of just then breaks, because then I guess he kind of really realizes that it's not his fault.
And also, like in the end of the movie, like you said, he drives to Skylar, like across the country, because he's like facing his fear of being unloved and being in a relationship, which also seemed like a nice note.
Yeah, true.
And to kind of add to the idea of his fears, I kind of think that he is also afraid, like very afraid of change. He was very, well, yeah, he was very afraid, for instance, to move with Skylar, his girlfriend at the time, to LA, or he was afraid to kind of maybe feel his vulnerability and be confronted, like about his past. So I think he kind of overall was afraid of going to therapy for that reason. Um, but well, yeah, I think that the therapist played by Robin Williams kind of is one of the only people that truly understands him, and I think they are very similar in their background. So that's why Will kind of confronted his fears and showed his vulnerability with him and not with any other character except for maybe Skylar. But well, that isn't really shown. We can just kind of, it's a possibility that could have happened when Will kind of moved to LA or went to see her there. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think that like the most significant relationship in general with in the movie was with the psychologist, with Robin Williams. I mean, because without the psychologist, I don't think he would have made that kind of progress.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. What I noticed was that Robin Williams played a very like similar role of like the mentor role as he did in the Dead Poet Society, kind of like
Oh, have you seen that movie?
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm planning
No,
to.
but he like he's very good at playing the mentor or like
Like the
therapist
guy you
role.
look up to. I
Yeah,
don't know
Yeah.
if
true,
it's like
true.
that. Yeah.
But yeah, also like an important how to like a parallel story to this story is how like the relationship between the professor and the psychologist, because that's how the professor got the psychologist. They were close friends from before. He wasn't even the psychologist wasn't even a therapist. He was a professor of psychology, but then he eventually agreed to help Will. And one important thing in the movie is how basically there's like a conflict, like a side conflict between the professor and the psychologist, in the manner that the psychologist kind of didn't agree with the professor, but in by didn't agree with the professor's intention of kind of pushing Will too much to find a job. And like I really agree with Robin Williams here, because he said that like I don't see a point in really pushing him to do something that he hasn't even decided to do, basically like what to do with his life. And that's why at the end of the movie, when Will lied to the professor about going for a job, and I guess Robin Williams was aware of this, that I mean he was aware of what he told the professor. He also thought that he was going for a job, but then when he left the letter, he revealed the truth, and Robin Williams didn't seem to be like angry with him because he lied. He was happy because even though it wasn't like getting a job or something, he still found out what he wanted to actually do, which was go to his girlfriend. So I think that was important point in the movie.
I agree with you. What I also noticed was that in all the other therapists that Will had before, he would like have a contest with them where he would see which one is smarter, and there was always Will, but then in the second session, like after Will got to Sean's emotions, Sean actually outsmarted him, and like which seemed like very impressive to me by bringing out him into a park outside his office, so Will could not like analyze his character by the books around him, by the art that he had there, or by anything else, and he couldn't attack and would actually have to listen to Sean, the therapist, and this got into like his emotions.
Yeah, true. I mean, I think that's why this movie is so popular, and I mean it deserves its popularity, but I think that's why it is so famous because of how, I mean, it's really perfectly written. If you know what I mean, like all the characters are written in a way that really makes sense. Like you can like Will is all the characters, not just Will, are like believable characters. Like they kind of, I mean, they make it more immersive, and also it's just, I mean, the script is realistic. It's not like
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say.
yeah, but I think that's why the movie is so popular. Everything, all the characters, they really like speak to each other in harmony, kind of like the script is nice and clean.
Yeah, I also know like I enjoyed the different like contrast between Sean and Will, because Will is like more book smart than Sean. Like we can obviously see that, but Sean has more wisdom and like real life experience to back up his claims, which he shows at the bench, which gets to Will, and Will actually gets inspired, I think, to live out his life and like see what it is about instead of just reading it from books.
Yeah, true. But
don't you
oh,
kind of
yeah.
also, sorry, don't you kind of also think that maybe Sean, the therapist, kind of stands as a father figure, like a parent figure for him? I mean, he's a therapist, so his job is to care and to kind of um, access the vulnerability of a person. I don't really know how to say it
Yeah,
in other words, but yeah, I kind of think that their closeness, like in the relationship, kind of resembles the dynamic between father and son. And since both Sean and Will didn't have that parent figure, I think their dynamic and their relationship kind of shows that not ideal relationship, but that relationship that should be between father and son, that with a lot of care and vulnerability and just communication overall. So I kind of would say that. And also talking about the Dead Poet Society, I think that Robin Williams as the teacher also is a kind of parent figure for the boys, for the students. So I think that this kind of character for Robin Williams is um, very frequent, I would say.
yeah, true.
So
I mean, I bet that there would be a number of movies besides these two that Robin Williams played a character like that. I mean, I would bet, like, I would have to check, but he really seems like that kind of character, that kind of actor. He's really
he
fit
really
for the role.
embodies it
Yeah,
very greatly. Yeah.
but yeah, I totally agree with you with like the father figure resemblance, especially where there's like a whole arc between their relationship, as Benas mentioned, like the visits of the session where he tries to break where in the beginning he tries to break the therapist as he did with all the other therapists, but this one didn't give up, and yeah, they built trust between each other. Sorry.
And I think what like I would say that loyalty and fidelity is very important and very significant for Will. So I think that Sean really kind of realized it, and him as a therapist, I think he knows that a trust in a relationship between like a therapist and his um, patient is very, very important. So I think that the fact that they were able to establish a very trusting relationship kind of further, says that it is, and they have like this father and son kind of relationship, that dynamic of trust and loyalty and so on. Maybe even you could say that they're more friends than father and son, but well, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it.
Yeah, true. I agree with you.
I also really enjoyed like the friends of Will, how they're how they support him, and after Chuck in the finishing scene, after Chuck says that he's not there, they all like stand up for him and don't acknowledge it too much, and they know that it is the right thing to do for him.
Yeah. Although the movie contains like a lot of drama, even some violence, I think that the whole movie in general is really wholesome.
I'm also glad that they like chose a male protagonist when creating a movie about therapy, because it is like very uncommon for men to go to therapy, and it kind of is
True. Okay,
a
that's
call to action.
That's a good point. And especially when, because a lot of men kind of, I mean, at least in the current society that we live in, they don't really accept their like psychological therapy as something that they would that would help them. I mean, because of toxic masculinity. And Will Hunting, I guess, also shows that in the movie where he doesn't want to reveal himself. But yeah, that's a good point.
Well, does anyone else have anything to add?
No, not really. Besides, I would recommend this movie to people who are kind of either in the mood for a coming of age story, a drama, or in general, just it's a pretty light watch, I would say. It's a pretty light movie to just like sit back and enjoy. Nothing too intense.
Yeah, I like that it is a like it has heavy topics, and it covers like deep and interesting thoughts, but it is quite easy to watch, and it is very entertaining. So
Yeah.
I would recommend it to like everyone to see it. It is first of all, I didn't think it was gonna be too interesting, but I got hooked pretty soon into the movie. Okay, well, I think that is the time we have for today, and thank you for listening for the 2 hour IB2 movie podcasts, and yeah.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.